These are the only two exercises you need to become fluent in any language relatively fast. I've used these in over a dozen languages, and I've used them with hundreds of students, and they work every single time, as long as you do the work. These two exercises are shadowing and retrieval practice. This is how it works. The only thing you need is a really long list of sentences. I'm talking about tens of thousands of sentences, both in your language and in the target language. I use spreadsheets for this, just massive amounts of sentences. So you get them in English, and then the same sentence in whatever, German, Russian, whatever language you're learning. You need the text in both columns, with both columns there, and then you need audio in the target language. This is all you need, all right? So the first exercise is going to be shadowing. Simply play the audio, looking at the text first, and then eventually you do it without the text. You repeat alongside it. You speak alongside it, so you say all the sentences together with the audio while listening to them, exactly at the same time. This is difficult, and it can be frustrating in the beginning, but if you do this every single day, your pronunciation is going to improve fast. Your fluency is going to improve fast because you are repeating complete sentences aloud over and over again. So you get really good at just saying it without having to form the sentences and you know what Krashen calls the monitor. You don't have to think of the grammar and then this goes here. No, just you do massive amounts of drills, repeating sentences aloud, like how an athlete trains, basically. You drill the techniques until you're able to execute, not perfectly, but relatively well. So lots and lots of drilling, lots of shadowing. Listen and repeat over and over again, thousands of sentences. That's exercise 1. Exercise 2 is active recall, which means trying to remember the sentences and then getting feedback. So you get that document with both columns, your English and let's say Russian, and you look at the first sentence in English and you try to say it, try to remember how you say it in Russian. You say it, try to say it, ideally with the pronunciation that you learn with the shadowing. And you then look at the original Russian and you check if you say it correctly or not. That's a feedback. So that's where you see where you made the mistakes, and then you can say it aloud again, this time correctly. And then you do the same thing with the second sentence and then the third one, and you keep doing this with hundreds of sentences every day. This is, again, it's frustrating, it's hard work, but this is how the best students at anything really learn information. Medical students, scientists, they all study like this, and it works for language learning as well. So that's the idea. You take tens of thousands of sentences, you listen to them and repeat over and over again, and then you also translate into the target language and get instant feedback and correct yourself again and again and again. Just by doing these two exercises, you learn all the grammar and vocabulary that you need, if there are enough sentences and the sentences are good. You learn all the grammar and vocabulary in context. You learn to think in the language, you improve your fluency, because you develop muscle memory and you don't have to think too much when you have to speak to people. You'll be able to just say things without having to, think about the grammar or anything like that. Just naturally be able to say it. Your pronunciation improves as well because, it's just sheer mimicking, right? It's just imitation. You've been drilling them so many times that you'll sound more and more like the native speaker audio. Even if it's AI, even if it's an AI voice, it's still much better than doing it with just input. And then you get correction. So you force yourself to translate and you actually say it aloud. So you're training yourself to think in the language, come up with sentences. Because one of the problems when you learn by conversation alone is that you end up saying the same things over and over. You end up using what you already know. But if you are forcing yourself to translate lots of random sentences into the language, and then you get feedback, you're constantly forcing yourself to, and I'm using force yourself a lot because, this is about getting out of your comfort zone. you're training yourself to use grammar and vocabulary that you wouldn't normally use. So you translate those sentences that you wouldn't normally say, and then you get the feedback. And the feedback is really good as well because you are improving your mistakes. So making mistakes and getting corrected, and then seeing where you actually realizing where you made a mistake, and then trying again later is the best way to both to remember and also to fix your mistakes. So these two techniques, just do them every day. Like if you've got 2 hours a day, just 1 hour of shadowing, 1 hour of active recall, and I guarantee that in a month or two, you'll be speaking pretty well if you do this daily. All right?